Hello, PerfBytes listeners. Before we begin, please take a moment to listen to a word from our sponsors.
Whether you want to load test your APIs or your browser-based applications, you need to be able to easily scale up volume and identify problem areas. SmartBear has you covered. LoadUI is the rock star of API load testing. Using an intuitive, versatile design, LoadUI gives you the power to scale up and out, letting you dial up high volume and real-world load from any number of local and remote computers, all within a single test environment. With LoadUI, it's easy to create and configure tests, incorporating all of your operating system, application, and database statistics agentlessly. It's fully interactive too, so you can easily modify your tests and fix errors on the fly. Load Complete is an astonishingly easy-to-use load testing tool for HTML, AJAX, and rich internet applications. Create and run automated load tests in just minutes using a browser to naturally record your interactions with the website or application. You can scale up the number of virtual users, pull in data from Excel or other data sources, monitor server resources during test execution, and even distribute your test geographically. Load Complete's reports and charts make it a breeze to explore aspects of how your site or app performs under pressure and ultimately pinpoint performance issues proactively. LoadUI and Load Complete by SmartBear ensure outstanding performance across your entire web stack.
It's time for PerfBytes.
What the is PerfBytes?
The fourth square meal of the day. Filled full of PerfBytes. Waffles, microwave ready. Blah blah blah, blah blah.
Add nutritional value to your brain.
It's time for PerfBytes with your hosts Mark Tomlinson and James Pulley. PerfBytes. Whatever.
Mark!
James! That's the sound of us coming to the end of 2014, isn't it?
It is.
It is. It's a beautiful thing. So, of course, I'm going to have to edit that. Greetings, PerfBytes listeners. Here we are once again, actually for the third year in a row, sharing our reflections on the year that was 2014 with your introspectively enlightened hosts, Mark Tomlinson and James Pulley. James, welcome to the end of 2014. Happy holidays, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, Christmas.
Solstice.
Solstice, yes.
Yeah, I prefer an astrological event.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah. It's the alignment of the planets in some way.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, from this point forward, all the days will start getting longer, closer and closer to barbecuing season, where you have like 16 hours of light barbecue all day long.
I know, isn't it fantastic?
It is. It's eagerly awaiting another 5 months and 27 days, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
That would be good, exactly. So, as we have done in these past 3 years, we always take a chance at looking back. And, what did we learn in 2014 and what were life's lessons and things we've taken to heart and things that have changed our lives and our thinking, or we just talk about news of the damned?
I like to start with the big ones, Mark.
The big ones.
Yeah.
Like
the cherry red burner on the stove. It's pretty, but don't touch it.
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah.
And we're in our 40s now.
It's always good to go back and retest those lessons.
Yeah, sort of re-up your certification. Don't touch
those items.
Hot items on the stove.
If it's red, it still means danger.
Yeah, no, that would be good. I think my lesson for 2014 is that I should keep my mouth shut when other people drive by me in the car and they have the GPS like right in the middle of the windshield. It's like right in their line of sight where they're driving. They have the GPS.
Yeah.
I think in some states it's actually illegal. It's against the law to put any obstruction.
I believe that's true in California.
But people keep doing that, and I see them driving, and I yell out at them, "Stop!" Well, not stop, but it could be dangerous. But stop doing that.
Oh, so you talk to other people in the car too?
Yes, even though I know consciously they can never hear me yelling at them.
I get really interesting responses. Of course, maybe it has to do with my facial expression as I talk to them. But
yes, exactly. So, PerfBytes listeners, we come to the end of 2014. We're going to look back on a lot of things for starters here. But mostly, let's talk about kind of the biggest thing in the performance world, which James, you and I talked, is probably this word continuous.
Yes.
Continuous integration, continuous deployment, continuous delivery, and of course now continuous performance. It's probably the biggest thing that's disrupting as a trend or an idea that's disrupting our space. Why do you think that is?
Developers.
Okay.
So as you get more and more development influence in QA practices, you're getting more and more of their practices coming into QA. So this continuous build, integration, deploy model is directly from development. It's part of the agile practice, continuous integration, development, push. And the challenge that we have in QA going along with this is we have the ability to automate quite a bit, but there's some intelligence piece at the end of each test where you actually need to make a judgment call on whether you move forward. It seems that the end goal in much of this continuous integration effort is speed over quality.
Yeah,
let's run the test. We don't care what the result is, but let's run it.
Right. Speed kills. Speed alone is not enough.
Yeah.
The speed with which you can make a decision, because a lot of people can put in branching logic. A developer-focused automation would be, I can put an if statement in there, and if value is X or if value is Y, do two different things. And if you say, if there's no bugs, then deploy. That gets you speed, but how are you determining there's no bugs? And how are you deciding something's within spec, within the boundaries or thresholds for CPU consumption, memory consumption, response times, throughput, scalability curves? I mean, all those other decisions and analysis, those rules that you could put in, which is a great idea. How do you know? Can you accelerate the speed with which you analyze? Well, that's why we keep talking about tools of the future and containing some sort of rules engine that could have very advanced analysis algorithm built right into the continuous decision making.
Absolutely. And part and parcel to that is we need to consider that in order to test effectively, we have to understand what our expected result is. And as we've moved forward in this continuous integration process, it seems like you have requirements evolving at the same rate as code.
Yeah.
So how can you establish a baseline for an expected result if the developer is writing both the requirement and the code, and they're going to match up all the time?
In real time.
But is it really going to match the business requirement? That piece really seems to be broken.
Yeah.
And broken horribly so.
Yeah. So continuousness for the speed factor is a good thing and sounds impressive, but actually automating the decisions along the flow, along the process, that's probably the biggest thing I see still missing, the biggest challenge we have as a performance industry. So if you've learned nothing else in 2014, you heard it here, study up on this continuousness.
Absolutely.
Continuousness. Is that how you say that?
Speed kills.
Speed kills. That's right. So that's and there's a couple good books. The ones I read were Continuous Delivery by Jess Humble is out there. There's some great stuff actually from our friend Brad Johnson, the guys at SOSTA.
Actually, the guys,
performance.
Yeah, the guys at SOSTA have got a really great integration. I think they're leading the curve on at least tool integration.
Yeah.
But there needs to be something more coming out of the Jenkins universe, this standardized form of JUnit reporting, to me, just doesn't include enough intelligence even to make a decision, particularly when it comes to a performance test.
Right. And we know good test requirements would be pass or fail, very black and white, and you can automate that very simplistically. But if you're analyzing the trend along a curve, and depending on how you design those tests, you know what? The continuous integration unit level, JUnit level type, and unit level tests are easy to report back to Bamboo and Jenkins as pass or fail. Well, the larger scenarios that you might do for production simulation and such, if you try to do those in this continuous automated pass, automated fail, continuous testing thing, there's a lot more subtlety and nuance within what those results mean.
And what question are you going to ask that can be answered in a continuous integration form that will uncover, say, a load balancer problem where load is incorrectly spread across all the nodes in a cluster?
Yeah. Any performance tester that has tried to boil down an entire performance test down to a did it pass, yes or no, or fail, yes or no, it's not a black and white thing. But it doesn't mean we can't do a better job of saying there are 6 questions that are each of them pass or fail, yes or no answers, but there's 6 of them that all have to be yes, maybe they're in priority order, and not just, one answer back to Jenkins, one answer back to Bamboo. There are 6 different answers and 6 different paths that come out. So the logic becomes much more robust, much more hard to automate in that way.
Yeah, but we're definitely not there yet. The industry's evolving. It'll be interesting to see what happens in 2015.
Which tools step up to the plate and take it to the next level?
It's both a framework and a tool issue where they both have to mature.
Yeah.
To be able to address the performance issue more effectively.
I agree. So read up on continuousness, and if you talk to your vendors about making a load testing tool purchase, make sure it can plug into your continuous integration. Secondarily, ask them what are they doing to go beyond simple pass-fail type of integrations, and if they're doing that. Now, another great thing about 2014 as we look back, James, is we've had some great guests on the show in PerfBytes. And I think there's several honorable mentions, I think we'll say here. But I threw the first one out here, which is Petar Puskarich, who joined us and talked about diagnostics in this sort of mind-blowing way.
Yes. Yeah, I needed to have several drinks to keep up with him.
Yeah, he's kind of a genius. He's a little mad scientist, actually. I don't mean that in a belittling way, right? Not little. He's truly a technical mad scientist in the lab. Yeah. So speaking of continuous, he's almost done continuous diagnostics between pre-production and production and sort of connected all of that. Back in the day, Steve Filoni and I used to call it PAL, the performance application lifecycle between test and prod.
Yep.
And Petar has taken HP Diagnostics and done that. And like migrating points files, bringing the information back from production. And he's done this. And we talk about it on that episode about performance diagnostics back quite a ways earlier this year. So a shout out to Petar for joining us.
And next up, we've got to talk about Bob Westcott.
Bob Westcott.
Here is a computer engineer, very long history in the performance discipline. And what does he do now? He leads tours through the ice cream plant for Ben & Jerry's.
I know. That was an awesome episode, actually. He wrote a great book, and we sort of evangelized his book. It's the link's out on our website.
It's the Every Computer Performance Book.
Every Computer Performance Book, which takes Bob's rich entire career history doing education and training. The guy wants to share everything he's learned and taught people over the years, and he put it into a book. I think he modeled it after a guy like a bicycle book. Didn't he say on the episode it was like there's an everybody's bicycle book for bicycle repair that like, hey, anyone can do this.
Yeah.
Well,
he wanted to make it more approachable.
More approachable.
And let's face it, if there's ever an example of a case that anybody can do this job with the right foundation blocks, hey, it's me. I'll be frank to admit that I wasn't, the magnum cum whatever graduate of college, but
load testing magna cum laude.
I don't think they offered that.
They had a degree in computer load testing. No.
I'm lucky they offered a degree in computer anything.
Anything back in the day, exactly.
But if you've got the right temperament, if you've got the right pattern matching skills, if you've got the right approach, you can do this job and you can be very effective at it.
Yeah, huge thank you to Bob and for everyone out there to know that to reach self-actualization in your development as a performance engineer results in you working for an ice cream company. That's the payoff.
I like the sound of that.
Yes, big thanks to Bob. Now another one, the first time we actually had someone take over an entire show for us is our good friend Richard Bishop from the UK, who gave us the News of the Damned UK edition.
Well,
which is awesome.
I think Richard was kind of embarrassed. I think there was a little national pride issue here.
He might have. We didn't intend that. We invited him to really go after it and he was actually very professional, which he is a very professional guy. And but yeah, you could tell he was maybe holding back a little bit. He kind of wanted to throw a few punches at what is wrong with you people are testing.
A little, for Queen and Country, type of thing.
Exactly. But he did an entire News of the Damned segment, which you go back and listen to the News of the Damned, because we had a rash at the beginning, for 3 months in a row, it was nothing but UK ticket sales sites just crashing and crashing and crashing.
Well, it started with Kate Bush, and it just kept going from there.
We'll review a few more for sure.
And then, of course, we have to mention Howard Chorney.
Howard. Who you might hear us refer to him as Hocho. Call it a nickname, but his friends can call him Hocho.
So Howard joined us at the Software Test Professionals Conference in Denver in the midst of a riot by Anonymous as they were spray painting the Capitol or something like that.
Who knows what it was? But some people, skate punks, were out.
No,
it was what's the?
It was Guy Fawkes Day.
Guy Fawkes Day. Yes.
Yeah. Another English reference. In this case.
Exactly.
But Howard joined us for the show. We've had such great feedback from all of you about that show.
Because we had the dramatic role play.
Yes.
The marketing department calling the IT department.
So for all of you who've said, we need more Howard. Well, in 2015, you're going to get more Howard.
Yes. Special thanks to Howard.
He's going to be right there.
He's joining us as a more regular host, and he's actually... he works for SOSTA, and SOSTA is actually going to help put together something. I think that we may call it the Performance Engineering Cafe with Howard Chorney. So maybe
something very.
Imagine you're wearing a beret in a French bistro, drinking a little glass of a wine. And, we'll talk about the performance engineering.
Given Howard, it'll be very soft and soothing, and very, very, very frou-frou, and that's just how Howard is.
Not crass in any way, shape, or form.
No.
Yes. All right. So thank you to Howard, and we welcome him at
15.
Excellent. Now, what else do we do in 2014, James?
Well, we can't not talk about the 4th of July event for a lot of reasons, Mark. A 3-hour live show.
It was a 3-hour marathon live show.
A completely unprecedented in the history of performance podcasts. Why? Because there are very few of them, and we're doing, I think, the only one right now.
Yes.
So, but we covered a lot of ground there, a lot of excitement. We had a couple of individuals join us too, as we had Ernie Mitchell, we had Greg Kudas.
Yep.
Join us on the broadcast.
And some folks online. Ben Simo was online with us.
Yes.
Also, Eric Preigler, I think, was online during that. And so other folks on Skype during the live show, which was awesome.
Absolutely. And so we've had the 4th of July event. Of course, we had 2 live events at STPCon.
That's true.
So we have quite a few live events. And the biggest item I have had coming out of the 4th of July, well, there's 2. One, a lot of excitement about the Performance Manifesto, and we'll talk about that in just a minute.
Yep.
But 2, everyone wants to know where I got the horseradish cheddar.
Yes, there is the 3rd segment after a bit of scotch and other libations. There's the cheese course.
Yes.
Which I don't think there's even anything proper, although it was a rousing conversation. The title does not belies the content, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. The cheese course. But what was the blueberry? There was a blueberry one, I think.
Yeah, there was like a blueberry Munster, and,
Yes.
and that did not go over well.
No,
I don't think it'll be returning
Although
next
I'm
year.
a fan of the blueberries.
Yeah.
We can take a little break because the heat just came on in the room.
Oh, we're fine.
What was that? Was it Don? That wasn't Don Henley. Was it The Heat Is On? Was it one of the Eagles?
Yeah, as one of the individual albums.
Yeah, I can't. The Heat Is On. It was a hit
Yeah.
in the 80s. going to have to play that. So it sounds like we warmed up now.
So going along with our live shows, Mark.
Oh, well, let me say first, just if anyone's interested in joining us for a live broadcast, which is a different experience than just a one-way conversation. It's very interactive for the folks that have been in the audience. We have questions and answers. We have back and forth. There's a contest to win a pair of PerfBytes shoes. We're always at the STP cons. There will be an STP con in San Diego we'll be at in 2015. That's in first week of April. And so come out to a PerfBytes Live. And we're going to look in 2015, maybe there's some other conferences we can go get out to.
Yes, we have had a request that the 4th of July is not something that people can generally travel on and attend our barbecue event. But to address that, we are looking at other conferences to see if maybe we can crash a conference and have the barbecue event in tandem with another conference, but not on the 4th of July.
Yeah, so we'll keep you posted on that for sure. So come out and check out a live event. The other thing I like is that we're finally getting more traction with the Ask PerfBytes.
Well, Mark, I got to say, a lot of that is spam.
Is it? That guy's not real?
Well,
Uncle Tabunku is not dead with $1 million of my money that I just need. I sent him my account number and my social security number and my shoe size.
I don't know why we're getting so much inquiries about Viagra on ask@perfbytes.com.
We are both over the age of 40, which still seems a little young for that. I don't know what
I don't know. They seem to be selling something to us and not asking something of us.
Well, it's probably because we have the word performance over everything. And that's getting misinterpreted.
A good point there. Yes.
Let's see, 2 males over the age of 40 talking about performance. Let's sell those guys the little blue pills. Well, guys, we don't need it. I'm not bragging, but we're still young enough that we're not to worry about that. Exactly. But ask@perfbytes.com is an email that we're getting more and more traction. We got some folks that are asking, well, even questions like, how do I get access to an episode? But we have some great questions that are coming through. We have one about batch performance that came through. There was another one around iteration
led
pacing.
To a show, actually.
Yeah, so that's something we're going to make a bigger commitment to in 2015 is interacting with you. You can just send us an email, ask@perfbytes.com. And you can, of course, get us on Twitter. PerfBytes is the handle, Facebook page, and any of the forums. You'll notice James is on every forum that was ever invented around performance testing. Right?
I think I'm missing 2.
You think you're missing 2? Yes, that's good. But yeah, send us more information because we love getting it. You can suggest a topic if you want us to cover something that we haven't covered before, or you'd like us to interview somebody. Maybe, someone hey, I heard from this guy at a Velocity conference. What do you guys think about X, Y, and Z? Or someone wrote a book, or, there's another tool. Send us any question at ask@perfbytes.com, and that'll be great.
So, Mark, let's come back to the manifesto.
The Performance Manifesto it's actually, I'll tell you where it actually started. It's gone back to the 4th of July barbecue show and listened to the middle segment. I think I was on Facebook chat with Shane Evans talking about, all these different things that a tool in and of itself cannot address. So These are principles or values or ethos, I think is a good way to say it, the beliefs or values that actually make the difference between a person who just runs a test or does the mechanics and somebody who engages as a true performance professional engineer, a advocate, in some cases a challenger, right?
So Mark, what you're saying is performance is not a tool?
Performance is not a tool. That's right. So the manifesto was this back and forth with Shane and I. We're like, what are these principles? What are these policies? And much like the Agile Manifesto, which has been ridiculed in its day for starting out as, just spaghetti ideas on the wall. There you go.
Yeah, we see how that's grown.
It's grown in some ways. It's done very well.
Yeah.
There are some great ideas, but I think if you ask some of the original signers, there was some intent behind those that's just been bastardized, to use a
actually word. I'm kind of looking forward to the Performance Manifesto because that means we don't need requirements and we don't actually have to publish a result.
It's exactly the opposite, James. You were there in July, weren't you?
Yeah.
Too much cheese? Too
it.
much cheese.
That's it. Too much cheese.
So the greatest thing about this is we've actually started the iteration to get feedback, and there were 35 different industry experts in performance, ranging from Scott Barber to Dan Downing, all these different people. Eric Pergler's on there. Who else? Ben Simo's on there. Seth Elliott's on there. Another guy from SAP.
Steve Katz.
Andy Grabner's on there. Steve Katz is on there. All these great people who represent a good breadth of the performance community and industry. Thought leaders. They're using every different kind of tool available. Yeah. And they represent different perspectives: enterprise class performance, small projects, individual consultants, long-term, institutional testing, academics. And so of 35 different, just in the first iteration of 35 industry experts, we had 40 different replies. Everyone jumped in on it. So that was really, really cool. We are continuing to revise this, and I think we'll bring that back in 2015.
So you'll expect to see some movement on a very aggressive basis on the Performance Manifesto in 2015. For those of you who are on that original thread, or if you're interested in being a part of the development of the manifesto, please let us know, because like any good manifesto, it needs to come out in book form so we can carry it with us as we set in front of the revolution.
That's right. Don't burn it, though. It's a book.
No.
We're not a fan. No. It's good.
We're going to hold on to it, and we're going to race against the establishment.
Yeah, go get a copy of the Agile Manifesto. Set it aflame as you carry the Performance Manifesto at your breast for protection.
Exactly.
Yes, that's right. So you can find out more. Actually, James opened a URL, performancemanifesto.com. It's on the PerfBytes page. I think we're in, what version number are we in? I think it's 2.1. Because it started with me, and then we did an iteration.
Yep.
So
it's draft 2.1.
So look for version 3 to become actually more formal. So we'll do a few more iterations different. Oh, Rebecca Clenard was the other one I forgot to mention. So James, let's take a quick break from our sponsor, ongoing sponsor, Nuco. You remember those guys, don't you?
I do.
All right.
Hosting for PerfBytes.com has been provided by Nuco, New Centers of Excellence in Performance Engineering. The Script Farm, LoadRunner by the Hour, Cloud Architect, Videratech, and LightSquare. For more information, please visit the website at www.newcoe.com or call 888-212-1104. And we're back. So welcome to part 2 of the year in review.
Yeah, so we've been giving a little review of what our favorite things were, but maybe we can go in a little bit deeper on the specific content in PerfBytes, the best and worst of 2014.
Best and worst.
And of course, our favorite segment, I got to say, the feedback from we love the news of the dam, James.
I know. It's just a fun segment, and I got to tell you, it's hard to find humor in someone else's failure.
Schadenfreude would be the German.
Come on. They're doing this to themselves.
It's just, and we can learn from it.
Yeah, we can.
We can recommend, here's another instance of this and how it plays out. And mostly I think we draw light to the fact that you might get the mechanics right or close, but we talk a lot about how this damages nonprofits.
Yeah.
Right. So nonprofits, you have a one-time chance, and people who will give maybe won't give again. And you lose that opportunity. Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
Huge. So there can be a lot of impacts to the real people in the real world, depending on what your organization is doing, not just for commercial reasons, but because, look at the website that shall not be named. There's a lot of people who really were screwed over in something essential like healthcare.
Yeah.
So what are the most memorable news of the dams for you?
Well, got to start off with this interesting thing at the Creation Museum. Bill Nye, the science guy,
was debating
the owner of the Creation Museum about evolution.
Yes.
And not really a topic I'm interested in. We've already had the Scopes monkey trials and all that sort of jazz in our history. But from a technology perspective, it was interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the failures that occur.
Oh, yeah. So I think you go back. That was a good one just because so many people tuned in, but they tuned in using science.
Yes.
So even if you were interested, did your sort of religious or theological perspective depend? No, I'm going to use science to go watch this happen. So you'd think creationists would have to go there more naturally. Or no, they would the information would appear miraculously in their brain. It wouldn't be streamed by YouTube.
I don't know in that context, but in this case, it was a failure of technology.
Yeah.
That caused the issue.
And it was a DIY solution. Like I remember talking about why didn't they just put this on YouTube, a known infrastructure that streams fantastically. And that advice we give to Apple. Why didn't, hey, Apple, you think you're so great with iTunes streaming, blah, 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 cloud.
Put it everywhere.
Put it everywhere. Put it on YouTube and put it on. Well, Apple and Google are competing, so I'm not going to put it on YouTube. Yeah. Would you rather fail or give a little on one day for one launch for your computer?
All I can say is Apple Maps on that one.
So bad.
The other one was the two airline failures that bridged STP Spring and STP Fall. These were low-cost airlines.
Yes.
Spot sales. And both of them had website meltdowns.
Yeah, classic marketing initiative. Didn't call up the IT guys and say, hey, buddy, we're going to blast the site with $5 airfares to Singapore somewhere, which was fantastic. Now, the second one we'll talk more about at the end of the episode here today, but it's this Tiger Airlines, right?
Yeah, that actually survived it.
Well, their competitor went down, and then they did what?
They announced a Halloween fair sale, and they were getting peppered with all sorts of questions of, well, your competitor's website just went down. Are you going to be able to survive? And all the people at Tiger said, why, yes, we will.
Yes. So we'll talk more about Tiger Air. That was really marvelous.
So Mark, I know this one on the best and worst. This is one that you just can't stop laughing over.
I love the fact. Now, have you ever seen the movie Shine?
I don't think I have.
Shine, starring a famous actor. I think he's an Oscar-winning actor, Jeffrey Rush.
Okay. I know Jeffrey Rush.
Jeffrey Rush, yes. Yeah. And he's took part in he was coming to Australia, the Sydney Theatre Company, and actually in the particular production would be appearing naked.
Disturbed, but okay.
Yes. Yeah. Here's a man, this is Jeffrey Rush crashing a ticket website in Australia. Yeah. There's something connected with Britain, Australia, Britain, the whole
ticketing website, British Commonwealth.
And not the first time in Sydney. The Sydney Opera House has gone down theater. So the IT guys behind them, I don't know who it is down there, but a 60-plus-year-old naked Jeffrey Rush just took out your website.
Which was better than Kim Kardashian's butt picture, which did not crash the internet.
No. Yeah. But
so that's let's think about that for a second.
No, I please, I can't get that out of my mind. It's just
disturbing. You brought up naked Jeffrey Rush.
I'm sorry, that's fine. Anyway, but I think it's good for him. That was another one of my favorite stories from the year.
I believe he is the oldest naked white man to crash the internet.
There you go.
Yeah. Next up, this was kind of early in the year. This was Manchester United. Their website crashed. They announced they had fired David Moyes. And this is a classical case of too much dynamic material right on the front website with a major announcement.
Yeah, they didn't update. Most sites have a news feed, especially in sports. You've got front page, front whatever, totally dynamic, lots of ads and links and, get everything you want. And this story just ended up posting right on the front page.
They should have skinned it. They should have put something else right on front, which was all static content. Click here to go to the main site, and then they would have survived everything.
Yeah, it would have been easy. Again, a static shim or a skin in front of your main web page. Just put it in the load balancer in a rule, and then take it out when the spike event is over. This was static content. Honestly, you're just doing a news story. There's no reason these guys, people hunting around. There's no bots on a news story like that. Right? Yep. I mean, I suppose there are some news bots that crawl, but they don't go like these guys. This was real people taking that site out.
Yep.
So, James, I mean, we're in December. we've had some good outages here just in the last couple of weeks on some announcements.
We have. Of course, it's
The end of 2014.
So the end of 2014. Let's get started with a review from our gadget performance.
Yes.
So Fitbit. Christmas Day, website goes down for all the people trying to register their gadgets.
It's a new... We exactly said they're going to open the gadget, they're going to charge it up or plug it in, and what's it going to do? It's going to wake up and phone home.
Phone home.
Yep. And then it's going to say, create an account. Okay, so you type in and sign up. All this traffic. These people have never been Fitbit users. They're new Fitbit users. New user account creation. Bam, takes your website out. Insert storm. Obviously,
Yep.
I'm guessing is some kind of insert storm, just queuing everything up and then blows out the front end of the stack.
Well, it could have been everywhere. It could have been on the web server for signups.
Sure.
Could have been on the web services interface for the communication from the gadget to the back
directly,
end,
yeah.
and then it could have been a storm at the database, some sort of locking contention there.
So-
but that's something that Fitbit and all the gadget manufacturers, but Motorola Watch, Nike Fuel, they all need to be cognizant
Yep.
of this issue so they can watch for it, particularly on holiday events where you get a lot of gifts being opened.
Exactly. Gadgets. Gadget. Yep.
Yep. Next up is a repeat offender.
Oh, yes.
So this is the Indian Common Admissions Test,
Yeah.
which is, I guess, a nationwide test
Yep.
for college admissions and other types of items. And the classical, sorry, too many users.
So at least they knew how many users was too many users. So they probably had a non-functional requirement, and then they knew to put up a message that says, sorry, too many users.
What's crazy is there's prior art here. You have this same organization went down last year for the same reason, and they might have gone down the year before and we just missed it. But you have all the prior art, you have logs, you have all this information they could have collected and planned for it, and certainly they could have planned for the growth
Yes.
in the number of requests. They could have pre-generated all the results, heavily passworded them.
Password protected.
Yeah,
in each
granted,
way.
maybe that's 10 million pre-generated result sets.
Yep.
But organizations like insurance companies do that every night for every possible
Sure,
permutation.
they use some kind of PDF or another file format that you can actually not only have like an HTTPS or an SSL sign-on authentication, then the file itself has password protection on it. Easy enough.
Yeah, you could have, emailed out everyone's password. They could have downloaded a static document.
Yep, a one-time use kind of thing. There you go.
So as repeat offenders, we've got to put the common admissions test kind of on notice.
Yes.
This is something that you need to be aware of next year. So I want to speak to all my brethren in India that do any type of performance work. I want all of you on January 5th to pick up the phone and call the administration for the common admissions test. I want every single one of you. I want to see them bombarded with thousands of phone calls saying, how can we help and avoid this national disgrace happening next year?
Let's come up with a better idea. We can do that. That would be great. That would be incredible. The next one, James, that you had found is Jesse James, not the classic old Western villain Jesse James from.
Although I think he cultivates a little bit of that.
He is, but I don't. The tattoos probably throw the whole thing off.
Yeah. So Jesse James is an interesting American character, self-made individual. Got
Reality TV star.
Reality TV star. Got his start building custom motorcycles and vehicles. Was married to Sandra Bullock for a period of time.
Kind of a daredevil himself.
Very much of a daredevil. And he started up a new website for custom firearms.
Yes.
So kind of goes with that outlaw mentality, motorcycles.
Which we also had
vehicles.
recently on News of the Dam, just sort of the firearm registration web service infrastructure.
That's true.
This is unrelated, but
this is unrelated. So you could go and you can order your custom firearm from Jesse James online, and of course, it's crashing.
Crashing website.
But what was really, really offensive about
it wasn't as spectacular. He obviously did a spot sale or announcement of something.
No, I mean this is a new service for him.
New service,
just ramping it up, launching the site
day one,
and he's like, well, if the website's not crashing, we're not doing something right. So this means situation normal is expect a website to crash. Now, I don't know about the rest of our listenership. I take real offense at that.
Yeah.
Because it should not be situation normal that things crash. It should be the exception.
Yes.
And what has happened so much in our industry is that so much, well, let's put it bluntly, there's a lot of incompetence in IT.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, there is. Like in any industry that gets flooded with a lot of person power.
Yeah.
There's a huge curve in talent and skill, and people at different points in their careers. Sometimes you get newbies that get assigned to stuff that's way over their head. And I think that happens to us more in performance than other places.
Possibly so. But I've got to wonder, has the ACA, the site that shall not be named, the healthcare.gov, and all the failures of the state exchanges that occurred, and there were a lot of failures of state exchanges.
There were some that did great, and everyone else really didn't.
Yeah, but the ones that did okay, totally overshadowed by all the failures.
Yeah.
Has this set the expectation for what is normal
For a common Jesse James
for
launch
a Jesse
day?
James?
Oh, hey, that's normal.
You know, for a new launching a new service, and you're talking to contract professionals who are building the website, who prior to this event, would you have simply expected it's going to work?
Yeah.
But after this event, it's like, oh, it fails. You know, well, even $2 billion for healthcare.gov can't get it right. So why should we expect these other things?
My own comment professionally on this, it would be advisement to anyone that's managing a performance outage escalation, is that you run the risk at some point of sensationalizing the failure to a point where it becomes this kind of stigma. And I think, remember, in the onset, our intention in any quality initiative, especially performance testing, is to learn as much as possible to prevent failure and not over-stigmatize the organization, your management, especially people that don't know anything about computers, that this failure is the most important thing. There are some contractors out there that are like, we're just going to... Some people think the news of the damned is just sensationalizing these failures for profit or for consulting or other. Actually, we want to talk about how to prevent these things.
Exactly, we do. And I've gone to the Jesse James website. I've taken a look at it. A lot of common sins are in play.
Architecturally, just website,
architecturally,
web-based design.
dynamic content. Okay. Multiple style sheets. A lot of stuff that could be pushed to a content distribution network. So there are a lot of things that could be done to remove that load. But getting back to your issue of stigmatization, Mark, is I think we're losing the stigma of failure. I mean, failure is there for a reason. It's a feedback mechanism so you don't do it again.
Yeah, we've oversaturated people with... now they just get numb to it. Failure.
And part of that, I think, is part of this continuous integration, build, development, and deploy directly to production. Yeah. It's like, oh, well, we have 12 builds a day. We'll take a 2-hour outage.
Yeah. Yeah, the 5 nines isn't going the other direction. 5 nines is becoming 4 nines. Well, wait, 6 nines. More nines is more strict, right?
More nines is better.
So
it's going to come in 4 nines or 4.5 nines.
And they're going to go to 3 nines, and then if you're down 5% of the year, which may be fine, but Jesse James is selling firearms. He's making money off a website like any e-commerce guy. So that's revenue lost, or people who can't get health care, or nonprofit.
Now in the case of the ACA and Jesse James, they're selling a distinct, non-differentiated product in many cases where you can't get it elsewhere. Yeah. So, people may wait in line, but in the case of, say, Jesse James, if you're looking for a custom firearm, and there are a number of custom firearms manufacturers...
there's 40 other websites.
There may be 40 other websites. Yeah, exactly. So there is a challenge there. So, Mark, this next one is one you brought up because you're an Apple guy.
You and I are both former Microsoft employees.
I know.
Yeah. I work with a customer that's mostly a Mac shop. And so I've adapted. And I actually run a music studio.
Well, you also have iPhone.
I have an iPhone. I have right behind me is my Windows desktop music studio. So regardless, we found out late from Tim Cook's personal announcement recently about coming out as
It came out as a conservative, right?
no, he didn't. No. He came out as a gay man publicly.
That's less stigmatizing.
It's less stigmatizing, which is fine for him. But aside from this announcement, Tim Cook, just his name as the head of Apple, caused some real waves. And there was a site called Start Out that took a crash. And only in hindsight, I think CNN posted some review that someone within that company had said we took thousands of calls and they crashed the website. But again, you take a sensational announcement, which still in America nowadays, coming out as gay or anything, non-mainstream, you're going to be an alternative lifestyle of something like that. Plus, you're the CEO of a giant company. You put those two together, you're going to crash a website.
And this is a classical point load situation. And I think Start Out actually issued some sort of press release or something of that nature.
They were making a serious announcement. He approved this, of course, but I mean, he's behind the announcement.
So here you have the classical problem of you have a lot of people that are going to come for one event are looking for details on it, where they need to push that directly to content distribution. They need to have it highly replicated, or you're going to take that load directly against your core website, and all the other users of your site are going to be impacted.
Right.
So, you hear this continuous theme over and over again. Hey, content distribution, static content. If you've got high volume websites, if you've got a lot of users coming, that's really the route you need to go.
Yeah. And if it's a static announcement, if it's not like a game you interact with or a site you sign up and take a quiz, or you have to get streaming content. Our ticket site is a perfect example of has to be dynamic content. You're interacting with the data in order to complete a purchase, a shopping cart in e-commerce, interacting with the data, with the catalogs, with the pricing to get that done. In an announcement, if the announcement is static, straight up, you need to now Start Out site themselves filled with dynamic content, beautiful, tons of JavaScript, not consolidated properly at the time, if you look at it. And it's just kind of nuts. Like, these guys make an assumption. I think there's a lot of fad to, well, I'm not just going to put it on an RSS feed on the news page, or I'm not going to throw it out in Associated Press through an established news channel. Take USA Today or CNN.
Or just put it on PR Wire.
Put it on PR Wire or something. They have the feeds that can send this out. These people are trying to pull traffic to their site, because they're going to be part of the thousands of media source sites, which are just, most of it's junk pulp news anyway.
Thousands of points of light.
Okay, that's a bad old reference.
Oh, yeah, it's a Bush reference, sorry.
No. I mean, it's an old reference. No one will remember what that was. Yeah. Anyway, so welcome, Start Out. And Tim Cook, no harm, but there's a foul.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That would be bad. Now, what's this other one you found just recently? You posted this on Facebook.
Yeah. So QVC.
QVC.
We're all familiar with QVC in the United States. There's a channel that we hope our relatives do not have turned on when we walk into their homes. They have a website. It's a 24-hour sales channel. They do a lot of spot sales.
Yep.
Sale ending in 15 minutes and type of thing.
Timing based to get it done.
Trying to create a compelling event. So generally they have been pretty good from a performance perspective. But QVC has been impacted over the last month by something that I see as impacting a lot of e-commerce customers.
And it's probably something that most performance testers don't include in their test scripts.
Or they're not looking at it from a performance engineering basis in production.
Right.
That is automated agents which are going against the site. Bots.
And
they could be clean bots. They could be dirty bots. They could be bots coming. Purple bots, pink bots.
That's for Jay Phillips at Purple Bots.
Pink polka dot bots,
Yeah, sure.
All that sort of stuff.
Yeah, tall bots, short bots, all kinds of bots.
Exactly.
In QVC's case, there's one particular company that has a serious bot craziness.
Yes. So what happened is that one particular company called Resulti was running a bot against the QVC site to collect pricing information, because they have an app where users can go and compare the prices for a common element across hundreds or thousands of sites.
Yep.
So here's the problem. the resulting bots were running at very high frequency.
No think time.
So think about this is a performance test with no think time involved. This is why you put think time, that you're violating the client server model in this case. So they had bots that were running such high frequency that it took the QVC website out for 2 days.
Well, this is what gets me.
During the holiday season.
Yes.
Highest purchase time.
So this is what gets me. One, if you talk to the marketing department about bots, in some cases, especially an e-commerce site,
they'll say, we're just going to live with them because they might buy something.
But not even that. They're like, we have to support those people. That's a partner of ours.
Well,
and since the marketing people don't understand technology the way we do, they say, well, you're going to get some information off our website, and in the phone call, hey Bob, you're going to take that information off our website. Yeah, hey, this is great. We're going to make a ton of money. This is going to be awesome. This is great. Bob, how are you going to get that info? Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, QVC. We'll take care of. We don't have to build an interface. Oh, that's great. There's no cost. I don't need to call the IT guys. And what's the Bob's company going to do? Bob's company's going to maybe use LoadRunner or JMeter and write a bot.
Well, in this case, this was not even a partner. This was
it's just some third party, external, whatever. And could be seen as a competitor.
Yeah, I see this a lot.
Yeah,
for e-commerce facing websites, especially. And there's quite a bit of bot load out there that people are not watching for. And in fact, I would be willing to bet that the majority of load, that is, if you could time every request made for every user, that the majority of load on every e-commerce facing website is coming from automated agents and not real users.
And for all you know,
which means they're costing you at least double your infrastructure.
Could be that, or secondarily, you're adding to each step through the process half a second, 1 second.
Sure.
Which these
are resource thieves.
Yeah, these are resource thieves. So just allocating heap and deallocating heap, creating objects, shopping cart objects, whatever. Every step, slower and slower and slower. James, why don't these bots get picked up in a DDoS attack? Is it because they're at the app level? They look like legitimate traffic, I suppose?
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. They look like legitimate traffic. They have figured out the
full session. They have
figured out
cookies,
the URL pattern. They're going after the site. In a lot of cases, they're operating extremely fast. If you have your web logs, you can easily identify these bot locations by simply doing a count by IP address.
Yep.
Now, some of these are going to be gateways. Maybe you get the AT&T mobile gateway or something, but you should be able to see beyond that and see individual IP addresses or host names. But if you just did a roll-up and just did a count by IP address, and then you looked at the traffic for each of those IP addresses, you're going to see very distorted traffic patterns for bots. You're not going to see the natural behavior of what you would see for yourself. And if you want to technique-wise take a mechanism here, you can take your own IP address, profile your behavior going through a natural business process. That's your reference fingerprint, your digital fingerprint. You can take that and compare it against these high volume users.
Where they hit like 10 pages in 1 second.
Exactly. And you can see that the fingerprint is highly distorted. It does not match.
Can't be a real human being.
Exactly. And most sites actually have in their end user agreement, you cannot use scripting tools against the site.
Automated agents of some sort.
Unless you're a partner and you have a published API and you go against that, and there are very strict terms on its use. But this is something every e-commerce website should be looking at in production.
Yeah. I would say also, if you get a chance in IT to talk with the marketing guys, give them, for the partners that you want to do business with, give them a legitimate, secure mechanism to do that work through a web service.
Give them a certificate that
give
you
them
can
a cert, and you can control
by.
it. And then you can also give dedicated resources to that partnership where there is revenue generated from that partnership. There's a contract. And then, as you point out, pick up anything that's not legitimate traffic, start disrupting it. Blocking periodically or even completely blocking those IP ranges. It doesn't always work to block them permanently because they'll pick up other IPs, and these guys are crafty.
But if you
disrupt them enough.
If you have a lot of load coming from, say, Amazon,
one EC 2 IP range.
Cloud Azure,
Cloud Azure.
IBM's
Rackspace.
public cloud, Rackspace. These are not real users.
These are not real users.
These are agents running on virtual machines in that infrastructure. And if you can block the entire Amazon IP address range for EC2, you're probably going to be better off, and you might just eliminate 25% of your traffic right there.
Yeah, and it's maybe even worth it taking one of your tech ops guys, give them a full-time job to do nothing but maybe once a month start calling through some logs.
I would say if you took half a person of billing for the entire year and literally gave them 2.5 days a week just to do this.
Yeah.
Because bot patterns change, their fingerprints change, their locations change.
Yeah. Just as a normal part of operational health.
Yeah. And you are just to keep up with them, to go and examine the logs from the previous week, look at the new fingerprint behaviors, profile them, set rules for your firewall, set rules for your CDN and everything else. You're going to have a much healthier infrastructure. You're going to have much more scalable infrastructure as a result. Yeah. And so after QVC, Mark, you and I went back and forth about this next one, doing an update on our favorite News of the Damned for all time.
Let's check in with Joanne Robach from prancersize.com. So the site is up. She has a really nice website now, as opposed to just being a viral video, which was hysterical. It was the funniest looking thing. But she's really running a hell of a business with prancercising.
She's got
prancercising.
She's got testimonials on the site.
Yeah.
You can sign up for personal coaching from Joanne.
Prancer coaching. Can I get certified as a prancer coach? And then, James, I will teach you how to do the prancercise.
I'm sorry. Mark, if it came down to that, I might actually die from a ruptured stomach from laughing
that
so
could
hard.
happen. Well, in the privacy of your home, you can also order a DVD HD Blu-ray DVD of prancercise training. So
doesn't she have available a director's cut?
Probably a director's cut, I think, on the site, which is different than the normal DVD in HD, because prancercising requires HD to really see the color differentiations, the line, the CGI effects that she uses in the DVD. Yeah, amazing. And in one final word on the Prancercise website, Zubas.
So if you go to prancercise.com and you want a copy of the DVD material, please call, order it. Let Joanne Rohrbach know you heard about it on PerfBytes, News of the Damned, and you need a copy.
And include a link to the episode on performance analysis where this showed up. It's still our number one listened to episode
I
for no other reason
than I totally lost it.
And it was hilarious. So thank you, Joanne Rohrbach, for continuing that. Now, we have a couple of things to wrap up on vendor announcements in 2014. This was a big year for a lot of the tool vendors. The first right off, our beloved LoadRunner now has a community edition.
And for everyone who's belittling the community edition, it only goes 50 users.
You know what you can do with 50 users? You can blow up a lot with 50 users.
Yeah, especially if you're not using think time. You can blow up a lot. You can take down QVC. Yeah. But by the way, you should not.
Don't do that.
You should not point a performance testing tool at any site you don't own, manage, or control.
Be kind and compassionate. Yes. White hat.
Yes. Use firearms responsibly, please. So the LoadRunner Community Edition, that used to be a $50,000 product.
It was huge
to get to that level. So you had the price of the controller.
It's just web virtual users.
The web virtual users, and that's just web, and they're pretty open on which type of virtual user you can use in the Community Edition. Plus maintenance, that got you to $50,000 really, really fast. Now that's it. It's open and available. And for those of you who have never used LoadRunner Analysis by itself, or VUGen compared with some of the other tools in the market, download it, look at it, and understand what made this tool the dominant market leader that it came to be.
So long, yeah.
When you compare it to, especially the open source tools market, and even when you compare it with a lot of the commercial tools.
It's still really, really powerful.
It's a very powerful tool. It takes a skilled individual to use it. Let's be honest there. But just the fact that you can now get a $50,000 tool at essentially no charge, and if you want to scale it up and out, there is Stormrunner in the cloud that you can just port your stuff right up to, and run a test on a per charge basis.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's an industry game changer. I think it's something that's been needed for a while.
Yes.
But it's exciting,
Yes.
nonetheless.
And it's not just Stormrunner. It's Pronk.
Oh yeah, Pronk.
Just to be clear, we're not really fans of the name, but we're at least making it. People know about it.
Yeah,
they'll remember that we said Pronk.
Pronk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So great announcements out of HP on the Community Edition, which is competitive and compelling when you connect it with the cloud-based load testing service. Totally.
Yep.
Now, our good friend Scott Barber, PerfBytes VIP, spent some time working with our sponsor, SmartBear.
Yes.
Actually, I worked on the latest load complete rework of the load testing tools. Very impressive. I actually did some reviews. I've downloaded some of the early betas to give them some reviews and feedback on the products. There are a number of the ideas that we've talked with Scott over the years that actually I'm so glad somebody of his tenure was invited to come in, work with the company, reinvigorate some of those ideas, and get a lot of them. Maybe not all of them. There's still some. Like I left behind a backlog a mile long. Steve and Priya and I just left. They're still chewing on it. Not everything is good for the product, so the ideas don't always have to make it in. But Scott did a great job of getting Load Complete out the door and bringing back that old name, Test Complete, Load Complete. I think that's a great branding. For you can get just a tool, but if you want the complete solution, you need to include everything from APM, from APIs, full load page, web
and then
pages,
it's complete.
And then it's complete. If you're not using Load Complete, then you can't complete me. You know what I'm saying? So
Mark, the next one is a little bit upsetting. I think for the Gomez contingent inside of CompuWare.
Yeah, they tried really hard.
They were almost the minnow that swallowed the whale.
2008, Tom Murphy from Gartner wakes up. Oh, Gomez is awesome.
But CompuWare changed its name to Dynatrace, not Gomez.
Yeah, and CompuWare, age-old, fantastic software company, huge software company.
Yep. Used to be number one. Used to be number one from a software perspective.
Huge. And now basically taken over by all of the compelling stuff we see from our good friend Andy Grabner, who's Dynatrace, which are a bunch of like old Segway guys, kind of jumped over and started Dynatrace many years ago, which is pretty cool. So good news. Yeah. The best news is like if you had old CompuWare T-shirts and bags and swag, those are collector's items now.
I have
like
lots
Mercury Interactive. Like you have a tote bag. The
actually,
overnight bag.
Actually, I have a T-shirt from the first Worldwide Users Conference in Jamaica. It says "Jamaican me crazy, just test it." I need to put that on a stretcher and put it on the wall as a picture or something.
Well, speaking of companies that from a long time ago with Mercury Interactive in particular, another announcement this year with vendors: HP finally acquired Shunra. Mazzles to you guys.
Haven't they been dating for the better part of a decade and a half?
A decade and a half. They got engaged just a while ago. I mean, when I was there, we decided to hitch up. We hooked up more than once, and it was awesome. Dave Berg was at Shunra. I was at HP. We were in Berlin. We got a little crazy, and so we got engaged.
You didn't catch anything from it?
No, and it took a long engagement. They finally tied the knot. So mazzles to the guys in HP and Shunra.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. A few other last ones here. New Relic, the guys who were the Wiley guys who did Wiley Technologies, which was acquired by CA, they all went off and started New Relic. New Relic went independent.
December 12th, they won an IPO.
Yeah, good for New Relic. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and if you haven't used New Relic or seen it, Go ahead and sign up. I think there's a community.
There's a free
interface.
access to a small amount of.
Yeah,
of
go ahead and
profiling.
sign up and take a look at it. It's a very good tool. It's service based, so you're going to be pushing some of your data out to the cloud for representation back to you. So just keep that in mind. Architecturally, is that you now have a bidirectional data flow in that case. But there's a lot of good information that can be had there.
And outside of startups, and New Relic's been around 2 or 3, probably 4 years to get to IPO with New Relic. There's a couple other startups that have been continued in their funding. Obviously, our friends at Tosta.
Yep.
They have several rounds of very impressive funding and continue to get more, which I think means good things may be happening.
I don't think they're to the level where executives have bought boats that say first round, second round, third round yet.
That would be gratuitous.
Well, we've seen that in the Valley before.
Yeah, don't do that. Tom, don't go there.
Yeah.
It's not about that. It's about winning the hearts and minds of performance.
And you probably
IT
shouldn't.
executives.
You probably shouldn't name children or grandchildren that either.
No.
Yeah.
But Alon and the guys at BlazeMeter had gone through a round also. They did some interesting acquisitions. They picked up the what's the guy's name? Not Alexei. Andrei Pohilko. They hired Andrei Pohilko and brought Lotosophia and some of the JMeter plugins connected to BlazeMeter. So Andrei's there now, which is pretty awesome. And then Tim Koopman's Flood.io. I mean, that whole announcement came right at the beginning of 2014.
Yep.
And they're continuing to grow very, very well. So good things happening. There's people still investing heavily in the performance space and expanding what they do, which is still awesome.
But you see where a lot of that investment is going. It's going to those items that are on the continuous integration development side.
Yep.
So, that's where the interest is in the industry.
Yep.
That's where the money is going.
And that's where we want to see continuous performance decision-making put into the product. Rules,
I agree.
Automated rules that are not the be-all, end-all for analysis, but they're at least more elaborate than a simple pass-fail on a sum number.
And for 2015, we're going to be including some public service announcements in our broadcast. So I'd like to go ahead and kind of introduce the first of them here on this broadcast. You know them. You see them hit the end of an iteration and they just plain ran out of time for performance testing. You hear them convincing the VP of development to just fire all the testers. You see some other kids aren't testing at all. And you see the cool kids, they're testing in prod. It can be tough under all that peer pressure just because you want to be cool too. But being cool isn't as important as it seems. PerfBytes encourages you to keep your own commitment to quality steadfast and not give in to those trendy, cool hipsters who don't know how to test and who, by the way, don't pay for what happens in prod. Stand your ground against emergency promotions and too fast releases directly to production without any testing whatsoever. Know that PerfBytes supports you because friends don't let friends deploy without testing.
And there it is.
Well,
that was very educational. I learned a lot.
It's not what you know.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. No, the more you know about performance, the more you know.
Yeah.
But I will say you should I'll have some individual links to the public service announcements so that people can send them to their IT manager.
We recommend that you
CEO,
include a link
to the
in
episode.
your email signature.
Yeah, in your email signature, here's a public service announcement from PerfBytes for yours. So let's wrap things up on our episode, James, as we do every year at the end of the year. We have to nominate our person of the year, and maybe you could describe kind of the past couple of how we've decided this in the past few years.
So the person of the year generally has been the individual with the largest single impact on the industry or on the news of the damn stories. So we started in year one, and it was Princess Kate, Prince George everywhere. I mean, it was like, whatever they're wearing, that site's going down. Whatever they're buying, that site's going down.
Well, in 2012, Prince, the little George didn't exist. They just got married.
He was in...
Well, I don't think... I mean, they were royals. That wasn't that close, the wedding. It wasn't a shotgun wedding at the palace, was it?
There were firearms present, I think. Or at least cutlery.
Yeah.
But... So Princess Kate had a really dominant impact on news related to catastrophic site failures that year.
Fashion websites were crashing left and right. I mean, she couldn't get enough.
Fashion industry.
Yeah. So good. She did an amazing job at punishing a lot of people.
Yes, and it has dramatically improved.
Yes.
Or she's wearing the same designers over and over again, so they don't have to.
Or the news cycle moves on.
It could be. It could be. So last year, it was the director of the healthcare.gov whole infrastructure website.
Right, because so just as a single individual,
even though we were embargoed from speaking about it from November on, it dominated the news in front of that. And in fact, I think we made a public prediction that it was going to fail well in advance.
Oh, yeah.
And it did fail catastrophically, and it's still in the news every single day. I can't open up my email without seeing that stuff, and I don't want to see it anymore.
Yeah,
for a lot of different reasons.
It's very boring.
Yeah, it's old news. Just make it work. So that was the individual last year. So this year we're taking a different path,
a slightly different path in our nominations. Because it's not just that you could be the cause of massive punishment, it's outage. But it could be more that you're an individual who excels in the context of either great performance or terrible performance or a situation around performance impacting society.
So, Mark, we have 3 candidates.
3 nominations.
For person or entity of the year. And I want to start out with an individual that probably no one on our show has ever heard of.
Probably doesn't even know that we exist.
Correct.
We sort of researched this guy because we didn't really know, but we had to look him up.
So this gentleman is Mark Lim. He's the head of business solutions and IT operations at Tiger Air. And Tiger Air was the organization that at Halloween stepped up to the plate after a very public failure of one of their competitors.
Right.
And said, yes, we are cooking with gas. Yes, we have appropriate Band-Aids and other material on hand in case of an accident. And yes, we are going to sell fares at absurdly low prices for Halloween.
And our site will not crash.
And our site will not crash.
And they didn't.
And it didn't.
They have a long track record of actually excellent IT websites.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's ballsy.
That is. And it's taking it. So you've got the other airline, which I even forget who the other airline was. Just a complete meltdown trying to be competitive in the sales side. These guys look at the guy's title, Business Solutions and IT together. And that's the old BTO. That's the whole idea of like, you want to do a sales initiative? Here's the IT infrastructure to make it happen.
Direct coordination between marketing, sales, and the executive staff.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So,
and IT.
So nomination number 3, Mark Lim. Congratulations.
So number 2, we're going to come back to Mr. Jeffrey Rush.
I nominated number 2 here just because I thought it was so impressive to being the first naked man over the age of 60 to crash a website in the modern era. Eat your heart out, Kim Kardashian, or we've had porn sites on like a terrible infrastructure stuff in that, but you'd expect those sites to go down because it's salacious and it's thousands, but there are not thousands of like teeny bopper girls going to see Jeffrey Rush naked.
So I just want to go on record as saying neither Mark nor I will be attempting to break Jeffrey Rush's record or a naked man over a certain age crashing a website.
I'll do it. I don't know.
Okay, let me go on record. Mark will be challenging the record of Jeffrey Rush when he turns 60 years old.
Don't let that keep you from coming to a PerfBytes Live at STPCon. They'll be fully clothed.
Yes, it's a fully clothed event.
I'm just kidding. So number 2 nomination to Jeffrey Rush, just for the sort of unique niche category that he's created for himself. enough to actually take out a ticket site in Sydney. That was
Yes.
pretty marvelous.
And number one, it goes right back to healthcare.gov. It's an organization. It's Accenture. Accenture was brought in to fix healthcare.gov. And from what I've seen structurally, it's pretty much the same site to the customer. So they haven't really addressed any design issues that led to the public failures. And they also have issues related to not sharing with the industry what they're actually doing to fix.
Which, if you look at the security side of the non-functional world, I mean, when everyone has a breach or an outage or something, people are fairly forthcoming. They don't get rid of, private, but they talk about what things went wrong, what they did to repair. Exactly what we do on the News of the Damned. Why we didn't have static content. We blew out our GC heap. All these different things, right? So, they're not sharing anything because they probably think it's proprietary, or they just think it's so sensational that this information would be used in the wrong way. Well, you guys already failed. It's over. Start sharing what you learned.
It is not like you can cause any more damage.
Yeah. So in a weird way, we're nominating Accenture because they're not living up to our expectation, even though they have taken advantage of the most amazing opportunity to step in.
They have
fix things.
They have positioned themselves as a market leader, as a market educator, and they are failing in this regard to provide that leadership and education on what actually happened that caused the failures, and so other organizations can learn and not go down that same path.
So in the vein of former nominees, Accenture is single-handedly leading us down the path of more and more punishment and more outages because they're not really playing ball. So Accenture is going to lead us down the wrong path. Unless they wake up, listen to the show.
But, it's an attractive path, and they're all wearing very finely tailored clothes.
Yes, and khakis.
Khakis.
Yeah, good khakis, comfortable shoes.
Nice watches.
Business casual. Come on.
Yeah.
Right. So
and cool ties.
Right. So James, who is our winner?
I say it's Mark Lim.
Mark Lim
for showing us that it can be done.
Yes. Mark Lim, congratulations. You are 2014's PerfBytes Person of the Year.
Despite what Jesse James said, that if we're not failing, we're not doing something right, Mark Lim has accepted the premise that it to work is the expected norm and not to fail.
Yes. And if you are totally prepared with the IT infrastructure that matches what your business is doing,
you can take your competitor's business.
Whether they go down or not, that's good on you. So congratulations. Thank you for not punishing the customer. Thank you for not punishing and maybe being a savior, sort of saving the other airlines' customers. It's okay. Come on over to Tiger Air. Our website won't go down, and we'll give you a great deal. So,
Mark,
he's sort of a savior, I think.
And Mr. Lim, please contact us with your shoe size, because we have a pair of PerfBytes shoes for you.
Yes, that's fine. Just send it to info@perfbytes.com. That's it. So, James, we've come to the end of another PerfBytes episode. And once again, PerfBytes listeners, you've also come to the close of another episode of PerfBytes. Of course, we'd like to thank you for taking the time to listen to the show today, and thank you for all of your patronage throughout all of 2014. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. Yes.
And, Mark, I'd like to thank my mother for tuning in because, she gives me good feedback throughout the year on the show.
She does. I think you've developed...
She always tells me, be sure to wear clean underwear on the show.
Okay, no, that's a real plus. I know I appreciate that, especially when we're in, recording in the same location and not over Skype. And special thanks, of course, to our great sponsors, current sponsors of PerfBytes, Smart Bear, for their support of the PerfBytes show and the PerfBytes community.
And everyone, today's show is powered by reruns of Babylon 5.
It's such an awesome show.
Yeah, I only wish I could get it in HD.
No, never going to happen. But there's something to that old production value, a little bit of low budget, but great stories. Some of the writers of Babylon 5 were awesome.
All that rendering, I think, was still on an Amiga. It's not 16 by 9, but it's great graphics.
That's right, yes. And of course, please remember that all the content of this PerfBytes episode is copyrighted and protected in the same way that conjoined mechanical parts have long-term exposure to oxidation-induced friction are protected by WD-40. Wherever there's a job to be done, we have solutions.
For more information about PerfBytes, visit the show's website, www.perfbytes.com, or follow us on the Twitter and the Facebook. Of course, you can always subscribe and listen to PerfBytes podcast on iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, and testingpodcast.com. Just open your favorite listening app and search for PerfBytes, click subscribe, or favorites button, or whatever you have.
The PerfBytes show and staff are supporters of the Practical Performance Analyst, the Performance Engineering Book of Knowledge, the Computer Measurement Group, the Workshop on Performance and Reliability, and of course, the Software Test Professionals community of software testers. And we hope to see you at the next STPCon conference in April of 2015 in San Diego, California. Check out more at www.stpcon.com. James?
Everybody, have a fantastic New Year's. And just as a hint, if you like to take out your firearms and shoot them in the air on New Year's Eve, those bullets do have to come down somewhere. So please find a healthier way to express yourself.
Yeah, either you can discharge them directly into the ground, below your feet, but don't shoot yourself in the foot. You could use blanks.
I recommend the nail gun without the nails.
Nail gun without the nails, or just firecrackers. Don't put the firecrackers inside the gun.
No, and always let go of fireworks before they go off.
Yeah, don't hold them in your hand. Be bad. Roman candles. Why are Roman candles Roman?
I don't know, Mark.
Hello, this is Azazel. Satan can't come to the phone right now to do an introduction to News of the Damned because he's been laughing his ass off for the last 2 years at all of these stories. What are you people thinking? We keep coming up with incredible disasters such as earthquakes, lightning storms, fish flying out of the air, airlines in India. What is next? Cats and dogs living together? We can't compete at all with these stories of chaos in the server room. Not to mention ticket sites in the United Kingdom. What the heck is going on there?